Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Clubhouse Picks, brought to you by Godzilla Wins. I'm your host, Jack Fredericks, editor of Godzilla Wins, where you can get all of your sports picks and predictions on everything from the NBA to the UFC. Clubhouse Picks is your go-to podcast for PGA predictions, tournament preview, and salty picks for the veteran golf fan. I'm here with my co-host, Nate Perry, the greatest handicapping caddy west of the Rockies. Welcome, Nate.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
As I understand it, you're getting back from Costa Rica.
Yeah. Big. Watch the Players Championship from a beachside bar in Costa Rica, and I am still recovering from that trip.
Are you recovering from the trip itself or from Scotty's shellacking the competition?
Scotty's shellacking to the competition I can live with. The trip, I'm not sure I can.
Well, good thing you don't live in Costa Rica then. I guess Reno's a better climate for you. So let's talk about the Players Championship, the fifth major, huge event.
Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler wins the Players, sort of ran away with it on Sunday, even though it was a packed field on Saturday. It didn't seem like Scotty was going to do that. So basically what I want to talk about, Nate, I want to ask you this question because Scheffler is the number one ranked player in the world. Him, Jon Rahm, and Rory McIlroy are playing better than anyone else. All three of them are not playing at the Valspar. But what makes Scotty so good at the Players?
At the Players in particular, it was his iron game. He really just didn't miss very much with his irons. And more importantly, when he did miss, he missed in a spot that didn't sort of just totally kill him. So I mean, if you had to just look at one thing, it was that. It was pretty much what we thought it was. I mean, there's not a huge mystery to some of these tournaments. If you want to win the Players, you have to gain strokes on your approach game. And he did. He gained over 2 strokes on the field in his approaches. The Players. So I think the iron game, just from like a stats perspective, is sort of what helped him so much there. But just watching Scotty win all of these tournaments, I think he's just, I can't tell if he's just got a better iron swing and he just hits better shots, or if he's just got a really smart caddy and they just have a really smart game plan. And that's what I get the sense that it is more. It seems like he always just misses in the right spot. It seems like they talk through the shots. They know what the risks are. Because you watch these tournaments, especially lately, especially the last couple that Scotty's won, it seems like everyone else is really sort of pushing, really sort of, picking weird spots to try and be aggressive, and Scotty isn't, and Scotty's just kind of the last man standing. So I think that some of it's got to just be game plan, because he doesn't have the sexiest swing. He still misses shots, but he just seems so much more prepared, I guess, for the moment than a lot of these other guys are.
He does seem prepared, and he takes the smart shot, not always the best shot. The shot that really just helps him with his game. Whatever shot he can hit, that's the shot he takes. That's what you're talking about with the relationship with his caddy, being able to talk through each shot. They spend a lot of time communicating and thinking, and he was on fire with his irons on Sunday at the Players, really the whole week. That's a difficult course, and he shot about 18 under. I mean, one of the things with Scotty that I want to talk to you about, because you mentioned this on Sunday, he's not always thought of as a stone cold closer, although maybe he should be at this point. He can get a little wobbly on Sunday. Why is that?
I think when Scotty struggles, it's almost always a wayward tee ball. And I don't know if it's just like he's consistently bad off the tee, but it just seems like he kind of will start pulling tee shots. When he started to get a little bit tight at the Masters last year, which was like kind of like his big breakthrough, I remember that kind of being his miss, was just a little bit of a tug. He did it a little bit on Sunday. I watched him hit a couple shots that were just like not the best drives I've seen him hit under pressure. I think that's part of it. And, some of it's also too could go back to game planning, right? Which is like, if he has a huge lead, he might not be aggressive as he should be. Because guys are going to be really trying to, hit the gas behind him to try and catch up. And there are times maybe where he just doesn't play as aggressive as he should. He seems content with pars when he's on a lead. And it works for somewhere like the Players where it's pretty challenging and tough. It doesn't always work when somebody can really run you down from a distance.
Yeah, that's true. The thing with Scotty, at least from a statistics perspective, when we're talking about strokes gained, which are the best way to talk about some of this stuff, total strokes gained, he's number 2. Tee to green, he's number 1. Strokes gained off the tee, he's number 1. Strokes gained approach, he's 7. That's what we're talking about with the iron play there. So not 1 or 2, but still in the top 10. Around the green, 21st, putting 101st. So if there's one area of his game, at least in 2022, that he's struggling with, it's putting. And that may be why you're saying he's content to take the par. It's also why he has to be so strategic in how he gets to the green, because once he gets on the green, he's not losing strokes, but he's not gaining strokes. I mean, 101st, it seems like a far way off, but it's not like he's 200 and he's losing a stroke every time he walks up to the green.
And I mean, he missed some spots at the Arnold Palmer. You know, when that leaderboard got really, really packed, when there were like, I don't know what, 5 guys at 8 under and like 4 or 6 guys at 7 under, and everyone was kind of like right there. When things really got compressed, I mean, that's what led him down there. He just missed a bunch of short putts. It seemed like he just had 3 or 4 or 5 footers that just didn't go in. And that's typical of most of those guys, right? Rory missed some putts too. You know, they all were kind of missing putts out there. So I don't know if it's, I mean, Scotty is typically a good putter. I would suspect that this is a little bit of an outlier rather than sort of typical.
Right. Especially for the number 1 player in the world, you don't expect to see him sitting at 101st in putting. Now, I believe Rory's putting, I'm just pulling it up now, is the worst part of his game right now. Let me just confirm. You know, Rory's been playing as good as anybody. Yeah. So his putting, so he is losing minus 0.429. So he's almost losing half a strokes gained putting every time he steps onto the green, and everything else he's like just killing it. I mean, strokes gained total, all that stuff. But one of the reasons he hasn't been able to close lately, I think, and he missed the cut at the Players, is just the putting has been awful for Rory. And if he gets his putting going, he is going to win tournaments. So if you like some of those top 3 guys, watch for Rory. If you feel like his putting starts to get a little better, bet him on the next week or something, and you may come out on top there. Now, not to tout our own picks, but we had some guys very close to the leaderboard in the Players, which was a packed field, but not packed with a lot of guys who are household names all the time. Hatton came in second, I believe. That was one of yours, Nate. And Sungjae Im, who was one of mine, came in 6th. What happened to Hatton there? He kind of backed into second place. He wasn't playing at the last group.
Yeah, no, he did just kind of back. I mean, everyone else just kind of started falling apart. And there were a couple guys. There's at least one other player who sort of gave it to him, who hit it in the water right there towards the end. Minwoo hit it in the water, I think, on 17 or on 15 or 16, well, like in a weird hole.
Minwoo really fell apart.
I
mean, he was right there, going to claim second place, and he hit a couple shots into the water, and I think he triple bogeyed on 17 or something.
So I mean,
he really fell down.
Some of it was that, you know, I had another bet on Tom Hoagie that I was pretty excited about, and he was kind of just close enough to tease me on Saturday, just close enough that I thought that maybe an outside run on Sunday was a possibility, and neither happened. But what are you gonna do? You know, it was a good tournament.
Yeah, he finished third. He posted 10 under. Had Scheffler not run away with it, it would have been a little bit closer. Hovland was right there too. I love Hoagie right now. I think he's going to be a sexy pick for some of the majors. He's like number 1 in approach, strokes gained approach right now. He's playing really good golf, but he hasn't put it together, so his price should be right. Minwoo Lee posted a 4 over on the 4th round, which is crazy because he was really, I mean, he cost himself a lot of money on those last couple strokes because he was still right there. I had Sungjae, who finished even for round 4, but was 8 under. My big fade, what I kept talking about as don't bet, was Morikawa. I bet him to miss the cut, and he finished 13th. So that was not a great call for me, but I don't know. And then I was all pumped. I was like, oh, Morikawa this week, this is like a great tournament for him. He crushes the approach, and he's not playing. A lot of these guys aren't playing in the Valspar. Yeah. So there goes that hot take. Okay, enough on Colin Morikawa here. let's go to our picks for the 2023 Valspar Championship. This tournament takes place in Tampa, Florida, at the Copperhead Course at Inishbrook Resort. They've got, I think, 4 courses at Inishbrook. Copperhead is notoriously the most difficult. It used to be a 27-hole track before 9 of the holes were used for the development of the Highlands North Course. It was designed by Larry Packard. There is Bermuda grass on both the fairways and the greens. We've talked a lot about that before. Water hazards on a lot of these holes, a lot of pine trees, rolling terrain. Nate, what do golfers need to be successful at a course like Copperhead?
They need to hit the ball well. Again, it just sounds like we're kind of broken records. I think since we've started talking about tournaments in Florida, it's ball striking this, ball striking that. But that's just because like these courses are all kind of tough and they're not that dissimilar. I mean, Innisbrook, the Copperhead course is a little bit different because it's pretty long. It's a par 71 and it measures 7,300 yards, which is pretty stout for a par 71. And there's not water on this one. So it's not water that's like a huge difficulty. There's water, but not like crazy amounts. It's not, insanely bunkered like some of these other ones, Honda, Bay Hill, where there's water and bunkers everywhere. It's just kind of a brute. The rough is really, really deep. It'd probably be 4 inches in parts, 3.5, 4 inches in sections. There's trees. It's fairly narrow. So it's just sort of a tough, and it's always windy there. They're thinking like the forecast that I've seen is gusts for over 20 miles per hour every day. So, I mean, it's just a tough golf course. So long rough, high winds, kind of a longish, tough course anyways. It has a reputation for difficulty. Like I think you're looking at 8 to 10 under par is probably a winning score here.
I think so too. And the wind is going to be a huge factor. We've talked about that before in Florida. Tampa's always windy around this time. So that's going to be a really important thing to keep in mind. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult course. Like we're saying, we do sound like broken records because we talk a lot about the ball striking and the approach and everything else. But that's what you need to win these early tournaments in Florida. You have to be a good ball striker. You have to have good iron game. It's one of the reasons, and we'll talk about this, why Justin Thomas is kind of lurking near the top this week. This is a field, and we can talk about the field. We can talk about it now. This is a field that's missing a lot of the guys. A lot of them take this week off after the API and the players. So as far as odds go, this could be frustrating because there's some guys that you might like who the price just isn't as good as it normally would be. I mean, Denny McCarthy's 35 to 1. Yeah, he's usually in the 50, 60 range. So our top guys here are Thomas at plus 1,100, Fitzpatrick plus 1,400, Spieth plus 1,400, Sam Burns, who's back-to-back champion in 2022 and 2021, plus 1,800. Those are kind of the big ones there. We're missing some of the other guys. Now, in order to be successful, and I went back through this, Nate, in order to be successful at Copperhead, I looked at the past winners. This is a weird tournament because Sam Burns won it in 2021, 2022. Paul Casey won it in 2018 and 2019. 2020 was COVID. They didn't hold the tournament. Adam Hadwin in 2017, Schwartzel in 2016, Spieth in 2015. He's been a popular pick for a lot of people because he's won it before. The biggest thing I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing that these guys who have won this tournament since 2015 are doing well is picking up those strokes on the approach. All these winners, strokes gained approach is at least 1 stroke, sometimes 2. These guys are all dudes who, when their iron play is good, they tend to do really well. Tee to green is also huge. That's just kind of big in general. You got to be good tee to green to win a tournament. Putting is important here, but you don't have to pick up a full stroke in your putting game in order to win, as long as your approach game is good. And some of these guys struggled with the putting in this tournament and still were able to win. We're not talking, they weren't losing strokes, of course, they won a tournament, but it was a little bit lower than the approach or the tee to green. And of course, tee to green means everything except putting. So that would make the most sense there. So for me, what I'm looking for in winners here, picking winners for this tournament, is approach. I'm looking at approach, I'm looking at tee to green, and that's pretty much all I'm looking at. I don't care as much how they come off the tee. I don't care as much about their putting, although their putting can't really be horrible.
It can't be
so-
horrible, but these greens aren't like ridiculous either. Like they keep them at a pretty modest speed by tour standards. They're not like going to be out of control. So putting's, everyone's going to be able to putt a little bit on these probably.
Yeah, I think so too. If they're not doing well in the approach game, I really don't have any interest in betting them this week.
Yeah.
But some of these guys can surprise you and all of a sudden figure out their irons. What are you looking for in some of these guys?
More or less the same. I mean, I guess it's sort of just expand a little bit. The Copperhead Course is weird because it's 4 par 5s and it's 5 par 3s, which is a strange, it's an unusual ratio for a par 71 to have that many par 5s and that many par 3s. So when we're talking about approach game, it should be noted that, this is like more par 3s than these guys are usually playing on a course. So that sort of heightens the approach stats even more as opposed to just full blown tee to green. So I think about that. I think you're right to sort of downgrade some of the short game stuff. The greens run at a pretty modest speed. They're usually pretty much perfect. These guys will be able to putt fine on them. It's not going to take the world's greatest putter to navigate this course. Same thing with short game. There's not a huge amount of penalties around these greens, so guys typically get up and down pretty easily. So I think you're right that the ball striking and stuff is really the key stat, the approach and tee to green. Especially
the wind. I'm a big wind guy. One of these days I'm going to just create a stat. It's going to be golfers in the wind. I'm not even sure it's going to have statistics behind it. It's just going to be Jack's golfers in the wind, and Morikawa will be last until I die, even though he played extremely well last weekend. It was kind of windy.
You need to go on the StatCast and find lowest average trajectory. I think that's a stat that you can find on there if you really dive deep.
Maybe I'll get there. With the wind, I think I can't play when it's windy. So why should they be able to?
It's not fair.
If it's gusting, I'm over there at Tunica National and it's 20-mile-an-hour winds. I'm going in the water. So I don't know how Morikawa can handle it. He can't. That's my point. I need to stop dumping on Colin Morikawa. He was tied for 13th. So Nate, before we get to our picks here, I do want to talk to you about one of our sponsors, TargetTrading.co. TargetTrading.co, Nate, is one of our sponsors here for Clubhouse Picks. Everything we do could not be possible without them. TargetTrading.co, with all the fear out there about the economy and personal finances, many people are turning to trading the markets to help support themselves and their families. Trading is risky, there is no doubt. Trading is not something that should be entered lightly, and that is all the more reason to get the proper training and education. Target Trading Academy is considered the #1 futures trading education company in the industry. Over the last 15 years, the team has developed successful, respectable, repeatable, highly structured, and effective learning environment. Want proof? Check out the student reviews on Trustpilot and online. You're going to find 5-star reviews across the board. But don't listen to the reviews only. Find out for yourself. Go to www.targettradingacademy.com. Sign up for a free virtual campus tour. That's www.targettradingacademy.com. You can see Patrick and company in action and find out firsthand why they are the #1 trading education company in the game. Target Trading Academy. Go to targettrading.co. That's targettrading.co, or call 888-203-3731. That's 888-203-3731. And we thank Patrick at targettrading.co for all that he's done for us. So, Nate, let's go ahead and get to our picks. We've got a new format that we tried out last week. This is called What's in Your Bag. So basically, I'll just run it down for our new listeners as we continue to grow the show. The format goes like this. You pick a driver. That's one of the top 3 or 4 guys in the odds. Either one of the top 3 guys like Scheffler or Rory, or if they're not playing, guys who are short odds, low price, 11-1, 15-1. That's going to be Spieth, Thomas, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Sam Burns because he won it last year. Those are our drivers this week. Then you got to pick some irons. Irons, those guys, just reliable dudes. Odds, it can be kind of all over the board, but these are guys who consistently make cuts, consistently finish in the top 20. So the odds are going to be a little shorter, but those are your irons. Then you've got the wedge. The wedge is someone who never wins a tournament. At least it seems like that, but you bet him every week because you know what's going to happen. Then you've got the putter. This is a guy who you bet and immediately regret, just like so many of those putts that we're all familiar with. And then you've got your 3-wood, which is, or maybe a hybrid. Maybe it's a hybrid, Nate. I don't have a 3-wood in my bag. I've got a hybrid though. This is your wild card. So someone works. Who, yeah, 3-wood works. Yeah, I don't have a 3-wood. I would never be able to hit a 3-wood. I can't even hit the hybrid. So, but this is your wild card, the guy who's going to make you rich if he can just get a couple things figured out. He gets a couple things figured out, Nate, and we're all going to be retiring.
We're right there.
We're right there. Sorry, I must be boring you. Nate's over here yawning.
A little early in the morning.
All right. So Nate's just fired up for the podcast here, yawning while I talk about the format. Terrific. Just terrific. Yeah, so great. Well, Nate, let's get to your driver then, since I'm boring you here.
All right.
Who's one of your top guys this week?
I mean, if you have, all right. So I suspect that you're probably going to take JT as the top guy. Am I correct?
No. Oh, I do love JT though, but
all right, then you gotta take JT. Then JT just all day long. I mean, all right. He's so good at everything that like is important at Valspar. When I was sitting here looking at this, part of me just wanted to be contrarian and just say Sam Burns goes for the 3-peat because I think it'd be awesome. Problem with Sam Burns is he has basically no stats right now that suggest his game is anywhere near being good enough to do this at this golf course. So JT looks tailor-made for it, though. I mean, he's always been an elite iron player. Really, the problems with JT and sort of the reason for his struggles has been mostly putting, and short game, and mostly just the putting. So if we're looking at him, I mean, I kind of like it. This is this course that's going to sort of neutralize some of those weaknesses and problems that he's been having. And it'll probably play to his strengths. So give me JT if we're just looking at just the top guys. I'll take that.
What are some of the weaknesses in this game right now
for Justin Thomas?
Yeah,
I mean, just anecdotally, I'm pulling up his stats now, but just anecdotally, it's been putting. I mean, he keeps bouncing around putters. He has like 2 or 3 of like, they're really similar looking putters, but they're different. They have different hosels on them. And he looks weird with that. He just hasn't looked comfortable. You know, the iron game has been there. The ball striking's looked like it's there. It's just, I don't know why he can't make a putt. So I think that's probably like the sort of biggest thing holding him back right now is just, you know, I mean, he's playing fine. He's kind of been around there. I think he's getting frustrated. But that's kind of his MO, right? He gets kind of frustrated and then he rips off some wins. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still playing pretty high level. I mean, he's 3rd in strokes gained around the green. He's 11th tee to green, 25th strokes gained total. His putting just sucks. He's 144th in strokes gained putting. I mean, it's really just that. I mean, he cleans up the putter. He's right there, and he's winning more golf tournaments. Everything else is good enough to win. It's just the putting it hasn't been.
We talked about that with Rory. It's really incredible how some of these top guys are struggling on the greens. This is not a course, like you said, that will punish you if you are struggling with the putters. So he might be able to get his confidence. He's 11-1. He is the odds-on favorite this week because he's been playing so incredibly well. I've got another one for you for JT here. So one of the comps for Copperhead is the course at the Concession where the Workday Championship was played in 2021, and Thomas finished in the top 15 for that one as well. So, I mean, his iron play has always been his strong suit. So the approach should be there. It will be this week. If he can put it all together and not lose a bunch of strokes on the green, he should be okay.
Yeah.
The putting is what scared me away from him. Thomas is my favorite golfer, so I love to watch him. But I went with Spieth at 12-1 plus 1,200. So he's just one little tick behind Justin Thomas there. And that's because I was really trying to stay true to my belief this week that if your approach game is incredible, you're going to be successful. Spieth approaches from 125 to 150. He's fourth. 150 to 175, he's sixth. 250 to 275, he's sixth. Strokes gained approach, he's 57th. So that's not incredible, but it's not like he's losing strokes on the approach there. And his tee to green is 28th. That's another one that I'm looking for, approach and tee to green, because we just don't feel like putting is going to be that big of a problem. He's almost gaining a stroke tee to green. So I think Spieth's got a good shot here. He is playing well, not as well as Thomas. He's missed some cuts, but tied for 19th at the Players. So he made the top 20 there. Tied for 4th at API. We liked him there. Cut at the Genesis. Tied for 6th at Waste Management. 63rd at Pebble Beach. Cut at the Sony, 13th in Century. So when he plays well, he's making the top 20. He should be around the leaderboard this week as well. He doesn't play this tournament very often because he usually plays some tournaments in Texas where he's from. The Texas Open is a big one for him. So a lot of guys don't play this. Like we said, there's the match play tournament next week, but he did win in 2015. I hate that stat, Nate. I read it all the time. 2015 was like Jordan Spieth was winning every tournament. So
yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, that was like basically like his like youthful prime.
It was 7 years ago. I mean, I understand that it's important to have had success at the course that you're playing, but Spieth was such a different golfer in 2015.
Yeah.
And he doesn't play this course that much. He tied for 18th in 2016. He was cut in 2018. He didn't play it in 2020 or 2021. I don't know. I see this a lot when I read some of these picks. Oh, Spieth won in 2015. That's like saying in 2030, saying Scotty Scheffler won this tournament in 2022 or whatever. It's like, that's a long time ago, especially for your golf game.
Right. And for a long time, we were always having that with like Tiger stats, right? It's like, oh, Tiger owns Bay Hill, blah, 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 won there 8 times. And like, so for so long, you just have these like bizarre stats that were just like a decade of dominance that, were hard to sort of quantify later on. Like
before Tiger hurt his back.
Right. Yeah.
But that's the only statistic we have. If that's your only reason for betting a guy, I'm not going to be convinced. And that's what I'm seeing on a lot of these articles is, 2015 Spieth won and he's playing well. So, you should pick him. And I I don't see that as I'm not interested in that.
If you're going to just take the course history thing, just take Sam Burns. Already won there twice. He has like a T35 last week at the Players. Just take Sam Burns if that's your angle.
Yeah, no way Sam Burns wins. You can't win 3 in a row. His odds suck. Like for a guy who's not playing that well because he won twice. Obviously he loves the course, but I'm not taking those odds. He hasn't been playing well. If he wins 3 in a row, I'm just going to retire. I'm just going to quit doing this.
We just sort of scrap the show.
I don't know though. It's weird. Golfers are weird. All of a sudden he's like, I would not be surprised if by Friday he's leading, but
the thing about Sam Burns is like, you don't have to look that far back to see good numbers. Tie for 6th at Phoenix, tie for 11th at the American Express, missed the cut at Genesis API, and then he finishes T35 at the Players. So, he's not, the whole year hasn't been bad. It's just like the last couple of weeks. So, I don't know.
If he's 50 to 1, I'm taking him. He's like 18 to 1.
Or,
I'm just going to take the guys who close. Fitzpatrick's up there too. He's been playing really well. So those are the top guys. I don't even know if I want to put Burns in that category, but he's won back-to-back. We're missing Paul Casey, which he also won back-to-back before COVID. So old Paul, too bad he's not out there. Let's get busy. Now. Yeah. Is he on Live?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he can watch it at home. I think Live has a tournament this year.
I think you're right. Yeah. I've seen a lot of stuff on social media.
Yeah. I'll have to check out the CW. Maybe they've got a YouTube stream I can watch. It's hard to find these Live tournaments, and then they're only like once a month. So
yeah,
sometimes they sneak up on you. It'd be Saturday. You're like, oh, Brooks Koepka's out there playing golf. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, well, it's like
So,
3.5 hours. These guys like rushing around a golf course all at the same time. So it's like, not really like
yeah,
settling in.
yeah, the shotgun format.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but maybe it'll work. We'll see. Maybe we'll tune in. I'll do a little live recap next week. Do a special pod Sunday night.
Live
tell
reaction.
Yeah, live reaction. There we go. A little. Maybe Paul Casey will win this week. You never know. So let's get to our irons now. The irons are these guys who are super reliable. I've got two that I like. Let's start with you. Really, we can expand the odds. I mean, I was thinking irons, you got to be anywhere from 20 to 40 to 1. But if you got some guy who's 90 to 1 and you think he's reliable, go for it. So who's your irons this week? Who are you picking in the iron category?
My first iron, and this is like he could go anywhere. I mean, because his odds are like really just sort of plummeting, is Justin Sue. He's been sort of trendy.
I love Justin Sue.
Yeah, 35 to 1. I mean, he was 90 to 1 at most of these tournaments up until about 2 weeks ago, and now he's sort of just like slowly just plummeting down the odds board because he's been playing so good. He played great at the Honda, tied for 5th at the Honda a few weeks ago, tied for 6th of the Players last week. And the reality is he's just been like great basically all around. So he's gained strokes tee to green in his last 7 starts. So he's a guy that I think if you look at this tournament, yeah, could it just be Spieth or Thomas picking off an easy win? Sure. I prefer to look at this tournament as probably more than likely going to be a springboard for somebody who just needs a little bit of a softer field to break through on the PGA Tour for a first win. And Justin Sue feels like a guy that's like, knocking on the door and is about ready to kick it down with these good results.
Total strokes gained 76. He's plus on that. Off the tee, he's 82nd. Approach to green, he's 79th. So he is right there. Tee to green, he's sort of struggling with. He's really good with the total hole outs. There we go. There's one. Par 3 scoring average. And hey, a lot of par 3s on this course. So if you take advantage of some of those par 3s, you can win this tournament. He finished in the top 10 at the Players. That's one of the reasons he skyrocketed up those odds boards. So he's peaking at the right time. I like that pick. Again, his price just stinks, but I looked at him and I thought, this would be someone I could at least talk about, if not bet. But again, 35 to 1 for a guy who really should be 90 to 1 is a little annoying, but it happens, especially a tournament like this. There's a lot of prices that I don't like. Here's a price I hate. This is one of my irons, even though I don't like the price. Tommy Fleetwood, 22 to 1 plus 2,200. Old Fleetwood. Hey, look, Fleetwood's, I mean, he's hanging around. I think really he should be shorter. To me, the fact that you got to get Sam Burns at 1,800 and Fleetwood at 2,200 doesn't make any sense. He has been on fire with the putter, which is one of the strengths of his game, always has been. Overall putting average second. This is Tommy Fleetwood at plus 2,200. One putt percentage second, putts per round second. So he's been putting a little better. Total strokes gained 15th. Strokes gained on approach, which is the stat I'm looking at this week. He's 22nd plus 0.610. So picks up about half a stroke on the approach. Tee to green, he's 17th, picking up more than a stroke, a tee to green. Off the tee, he's 109th. And if you've ever watched and cheered for Fleetwood, that's right. And sometimes he just steps up to the driver's box and absolutely hammers one into the trees and then has to figure it out from there. I've seen Tommy Fleetwood do that a lot, which can be kind of fun to root for. I love guys who just hit it into the trees. Spieth's going to do that this week. He loves doing that. JT will be climbing up some hill trying to find his ball in the crowd. So a lot of those guys this week are they don't make things easy on themselves. Like Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth might win the tournament, but it won't be easy. Never is for either of them. So Fleetwood tied for 27th at the Players, tied for 61st at API, tied for 20th at Genesis, cut from Waste Management. Doesn't play Valspar very often. Only played once that I saw, 2022, but he tied for 16th. So
yeah, it seems like a course would be good for him.
yeah, he's good. He's good on the, I mean, he's going to take advantage of the greens. He's pretty good on approach. 2,200. I don't like that price for a guy who's not really winning tournaments right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, he's always been known as sort of an awesome iron player and even better player in the wind. So, the wind blows. This is the sort of tournament that he could step up on and do something with.
Yeah, I kind of like this. I just think 22 to 1 is hard. That's a short price for a guy who should be floating around the 40s if the field is a little bit more packed.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to bet him. I like him. I think that he's got a shot here. Not going to make me rich, but he should be in contention. So that's one of my irons. I'll talk about my second one in a minute. Do you have another one in this range that you like?
I do. I guess he's he's definitely in this range. And again, it's like one of those ones you're like, God, can you just give us a break one time, sports books? Like just give us a chance on a good price with Davis Riley. Just like he doesn't have to be 40 to 1. He could be, you could give us 50 or 60. You could do it. I mean, he's down to like 30 or 35 at some point. Like William Hilly's down to 30 to 1. He's like the 5th favorite. He has never won a PGA Tour event. I don't like, there's no reason for that. Like he played okay a couple weeks ago. That's awesome. Like tie for 8th at the API. Great. Missed the cut of players. 30 to 1 the next week to win the Valspar. It makes no sense.
He was one of your guys last week.
I mean, yeah, he's like my guy every week. I just don't want to like only win enough to buy a sandwich when he does win. I want to like make like real money for once in my life. So I don't know. I mean, reality is he's got a new caddy. The game seems to be coming around. The T29 at Honda and the T8 at API, those look like good numbers. The game does seem better. Last week, I'm sort of willing to chalk up to just sort of a weird week at the Players. He hasn't played it before, as far as I'm aware. So, first time or whatever. But Davis Riley likes his course. Lost in a playoff here last year. Redemption time for Davis Riley. I'll just take the bad odds. I just wanted to complain about it first.
Well, there's so many bad odds. Maverick McNeely is 45 to 1. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's just a crappy field. It's just like not an awesome field. So like, all of our favorites are just now like actual favorites.
Right. Which is, that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of them, I mean, Ben Griffin, 45 to 1. Adam Hadwin, 22 to 1. He's not been playing well, but he did win here a while ago. So that's why his odds are up there. So another iron I like is Nick Taylor, who actually I think does have, we'll call this the Fowler line, 60 to 1 there. If Ricky was playing this tournament, even with this field, he'd still be 65 to 1. I don't know why that is, but everybody seems to think that Ricky has a 60 to 1 chance to win every tournament. So Nick Taylor's at 60 to 1. This is an approach guy like this. Approaches from 75 to 100 yards. He's 7th. Total strokes gained 23rd. So that's really good, actually. It's almost a full stroke gain just when he gets out there. Strokes gained on approach 56th. Strokes gained putting 44th. Tee to green 43rd. So he's just kind of in the middle range for a lot of these strokes gained that I like.
Mm-hmm.
He missed the cut at the Players. He missed the cut at API. So that's concerning. Tied for 33rd at Genesis. 2nd at Waste Management. Tied for 7th at Sony. Tied for 20th at Pebble Beach. So he's playing pretty well other than the 2 missed cuts in Florida. So he could maybe be a West Coast guy. He might not like the wind. I don't necessarily know. He's played this tournament a lot, which again, very hard to find. Last year, he tied for 70th, but in 2019, tied for 24th. 2017, tied for 62nd. 2015, tied for 24th. So he missed the cut in 2016, and I think he was hurt in 2018. He didn't post any scores. So I kind of like him at 60 to 1. I think that price is probably right for Nick Taylor. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of my second iron that I am actually pretty excited about. I think the iron play will help him this week, and he's got a lot of experience in this course. Do you have another iron?
I don't know if I have an iron. I think that's probably probably it for my irons. I definitely have some wedges, putters, and 3-woods.
Okay. Well, before we get to the wedges, which is the guy we love to bet who never wins. But before we get to that, we do need to thank our partners at Ignite 45. This podcast would not be possible without Ignite 45. Listen, Nate, if you're a small business owner struggling to generate leads and revenue, then this message is for you. In today's economy, a winning digital strategy is a must. Without it, your business could fall behind and lose out. Many business owners struggle with outdated websites and no real presence on Google when people are searching for their services. But do not be discouraged because Ignite 45 can fix that. They design great websites that turn visitors into paying customers and create SEO strategies that rank your business on top of search results. Ignite 45 is also the first digital agency dedicated to helping your business reach millions on your social media platform of your choice. If you are ready to see real results and work with a digital partner that shares your values, then give them a call today at 720-740-1776. That's 720-740-1776, or visit www.ignite45.com/Godzilla. www.ignite45.com/Godzilla. You can use that promo code Godzilla from Godzilla Wins, that promo code Godzilla, to save 100 on your digital needs today. So thank Ignacio and Ignite 45 for their support for Clubhouse Picks here. Okay, so you got some wedges. Let's talk about that. Wedges are guys we'd love to bet, never seem to win a tournament. I got one. Who you got for your wedge here?
This might be, he might be too early to be a wedge. I probably could have gone Davis Riley as a wedge because I'm always betting Davis and he's never winning. But this guy's so young that, you know, maybe I just haven't given him a chance yet. But I got Akshay Bhatia as my wedge.
He's a sexy pick for a lot of people.
I mean, he is a sexy pick, and he's 130 to 1. His iron game is elite. You know, he gained a ton of strokes at the Honda and one of the only strokes gained rounds that he's had this year where they track that. And the thing that I sort of like, it's a little bit more old school than anything else, is that he's played all of his best golf as a professional and at like these like higher level, you know, Korn Ferry or these sort of PGA Tour events that he's been qualified for at places that are very, very windy. Earlier in the year, he had a T4 and a T7 in the Bahamas on the Korn Ferry Tour. Then he finishes out, you know, a couple weeks ago. Then he gets a solo second at the Puerto Rico Open. So he tends to play best at places that are known for their wind, that are known for sort of that being something that you need to navigate. So I like him here at 130 to 1 at a course where it's going to blow. He seems like he's just getting momentum. He's got special temporary membership now, so he can get unlimited sponsors exemptions for the rest of the season. You know, he seems to have finally found some sort of footing. This feels like a moment where someone like Akshay could really just start making a run. Again, like I was saying, I prefer to think of this tournament as a sort of stepping stone for other players and not necessarily just like a chance for, you know, Spieth to withdraw $1 million out of an ATM.
He sure would like to do that.
He would.
Akshay's a good pick. I saw I read a couple articles where he was on there. One of them said expect him to get hammered down from 90 to 1, which was like 2 days ago, to like 60 to 1. And he went the opposite direction.
Yeah.
The stats are hard. Like he's in the top 10 on strokes gained approach, but he hasn't played as many tournaments where those stats would count as some of these other guys. So that's, like you're saying, you got to kind of go old school because he just doesn't have a ton of statistics. I mean, you can say, oh, tied for, 10th in strokes gained to approach, but if he's not playing every week, you just don't really know what that actually looks like. Right. I think you're right. I think Akshay is a great pick at plus 130. I think that's one that I'm also going to consider just my personal card for this week, because I think he could put it all together here, and he is a great iron player and he likes to play in the wind. So, we'll see. My wedge here is another horrible price. Whatever. I just love this guy. Wyndham Clark. I'm always betting Wyndham Clark.
You love Wyndham Clark.
I love Wyndham Clark. I don't know why.
I think it's just his name.
It might be. That's why I love Harris English. He's one of the guys I love.
Same thing.
Yeah. I just, these guys with like these really waspy names.
You just think they're good at golf because they're waspy and tall.
Right. I mean, they should be good at golf. If your name's Wyndham Clark, how can you not be good at golf? You know, the guy I knew in high school who was the best golfer at our high school, his name was Wade. I mean, you know, just these guys, like, I don't know. It's not like there's a bunch of Italians out here just mashing the ball. Although, you know, we love Francesco Molinari, and then we also like Peter Malnati. So yeah, couple of Italian. I mean, like real Italians, I guess, are good at golf. But the guys from Jersey, I just don't really think.
Not a lot of guys coming out of Queens.
No, unless your name's Wyndham. So I love Wyndham Clark here. 35-1, not great odds for Wyndham. You really want to get him at 135-1, but a little shorter this week. Total strokes gained 36th, tee to green 31st. So that's big for me. Approach 49th, so he's still there. Putting 96th. Like we said, putting not that important this week. He should be able to do fine. And this is why I like Clark really, because he's just been playing really well. Tied for the 27th at the Players, tied for 31st at API, tied for 33rd at Genesis, tied for 10th at Waste Management, tied for 37th at the Farmers, tied for 50th at American Express. Those are a lot of elevated events, and he hasn't missed a cut. So I do not expect him to miss this cut. I expect him to be kind of lurking around. I think we're going to see him in the top 10. I think on Sunday, he's a guy who I'm going to be excited to be watching. However, he's 35-1. So again, it's just milk money. It's not going to help me pay off my mortgage, but we'll see. Valspar, not a ton of experience here. He got cut last year, tied for 60th in 2021, tied for 37th in 2019, but Wyndham hasn't been on tour. Before that, it was mostly the Corn Ferry for him. So I bet Wyndham Clark all the time. That's why I put him in there. And I think that his game is pretty amenable to this course. So I'm happy for that. That's our irons, or no, those are our wedges. Sorry. So those are our wedges there. These are guys we love to bet that don't exactly deliver for us, but we're not going to quit. I love Wyndham Clark because he sounds waspy. You like Akshay because he can hit the golf ball in the wind.
Yes.
Now, let's move to our putter. This is a guy who, just like that 5-foot putt that you immediately hit and then immediately regret, this is the guy you send a ticket in and you think, shouldn't have done that. I got a good one for you here. But let's start with your putter. Just a guy who you maybe are having second thoughts about picking.
Brandon Wu, I think. He's like 50-1. And I thought, like, that's a fair price. And now I think, like, maybe that wasn't an awesome price. I think maybe I should have gotten better price. I think maybe I needed at least 60 or 70-1. And not 50-1. And it's not for anything, crazy. I mean, he played well at the Honda, tied 14th at the Honda. He played pretty well. The Players, he's top 20 there. I guess my problem is that when I'm like looking at it, I'm thinking, this is a guy that's up and coming. And then I look at his stats and I think, I don't know, is it just a hot putter right now? So I think that's probably one that, like, I instantly regret. I mean, for every good finish he has, he's missed a cut this year. So, or at least a cut this year. Maybe multiple cuts for every good finish he's had. So I guess he's one that I'm like, that probably wasn't awesome. He seems sort of, I don't know, a little bit more like a paper tiger right now in terms of stats. Some of those weeks he's, was a killer on approach. Honda, he was a killer on approach. Other weeks it's just like he doesn't know where it's going. So I don't know. That's one that I don't love.
Brandon Wu at 50-1 is a tough pill to swallow, I think.
Yeah.
Because if he wins, you're not even really that excited. And it's going to take a lot emotionally to root for him to get there. So
it's going to take everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if Brandon Wu is sneaking around on Sunday, tied for 4th.
Like I have to cancel my plans, like just to watch the stupid tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a tough Sunday because he's just going to have to grind to get there. And then you're not exactly loving your bank account, even if you do get the win. Now we'll take any win. We really need one where we have a golf podcast and we can't pick a winner. However,
pick a winner.
I mean, we just don't pick, like, we could come on here every week and just pick Scheffler or Rahm and we would be right. We don't do that. So, and a lot of guys do. Like, I listen to podcasts and they're just like, yeah, John Rahm, that's who's going to win. It's like, okay, well, you don't need a podcast to know that John Rahm is probably going to win a tournament or Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
Yeah, just say I like Scheffler this week, and half the time you'll be right because he's the best golfer in the world. And he ruined my Sunday last week as I kept walking around the house with the people I was with, just repeating, "He's the best. Scotty's the best. That's why Scotty's the best." Until my mother, who was with me, had to tell me to shut up. That I had just every time he hit the ball, I was like, "That's why he's the best." And they're like, "Stop talking, because this is not entertaining. You just keep repeating that." So, but he is the best. So okay, there's your regret there, a little Brandon Wu action. I've got one for you. Immediately regretted this. Don't know why I sent this ticket in. Luke List, plus 8,000, 80 to 1.
I don't hate your Luke List pick. I'll stand up in defense of Luke List.
Well, okay, so that's what I was thinking. Like, Luke List is pretty good, and so he's good off the tee. That's one thing. So that's not really, yeah, it doesn't translate with my framework. So that's one of the reasons I kind of regret it, because I try to stick to what I think is going to win the tournament, and longest drives, which he's first at, not great, but he gains a lot off the tee. So strokes gained off the tee, he's 11th. Total strokes gained, however, he's 131st. That's not good. Approach, 55th. I mean, he's plus on the strokes gained for approach. He's 27th tee to green. However,
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's the overall number is really just like, look at the putter. It's bad.
So, okay,
it's bad.
So the putting is bad. So tee to green, 27, almost gaining a stroke, tee to green. Walks up to the green, 208th on tour. That's where he ranks. He's minus 1.063. That means every time that Luke like takes the putter out of his bag, he loses a stroke. That's not good. And even though the greens are going to be forgiving, I mean, I don't know how forgiving they're going to be for Luke.
I saw a pretty incredible Luke List stat, which was the only time in his career in the last 3 years that he's managed a tournament where he's finished just average putting, like where he just at zero, he won the golf tournament. It's the only time he's won he's just one career win, and it was the 1 week that he just putted like a normal person on tour.
Oh, that's why I love golf.
Can you imagine?
I can imagine that every week he tells his caddy, "This is the week I'm going to just crush it on the greens." I think he probably just spends all his time in his backyard with the putter, trying to figure out how to get it in the hole. And this is why I love golf so much, because these guys are so good at everything, but usually they're really bad at one thing. Unless they're number one, number two, top 5 in the world, there's always one thing that they just can't do. And Luke can't putt. So, no judgment. I can't really do it either. I certainly wouldn't be able to do it at Copperhead. But however, this is the week where he should be able to get it together. So, and if he can, I mean, like you said, all he's got to do is be 0 at strokes gained putting, and he is going to run away with this tournament at 80 to 1, because he's like the greatest golfer tee to green.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just be average, Luke.
I'm a cheer for him. I love watching him. He's a great golfer, and he's great off the tee. And we talk about these guys who smash it into the trees. That's always fun to watch too. But sometimes you just like to watch a guy absolutely crush a ball off the tee, and he's great, So those are our putters, guys, who we maybe are rethinking a little bit. We're going to get to our wedges in a minute. This is the wild card. I got a great one for you. I'll tell you that in a minute here. But first, Nate, we got to thank Rosie's. Rosie's is one of our sponsors here. We love Rosie's. Today's show is brought to you by Rosie's Gaming Emporium. Rosie's has paid out over $475 million in jackpots so far this year, 2023. In February, those winners include Alex, Big Al. Alex won $140,000 at Rosie's in Dumfries. This is in Virginia. Tabitha won 99 big ones at Rosie's in Richmond. Another Dumfries winner, Douglas, 93,000. And then we got Robert, 46,000. That's Alexis right there at Rosie's in Vinton. I think maybe Alexis is more than that. That's a down payment on Alexis. Starting in March, new members play for free at Rosie's. Sign up for a free Rosie's rewards card and instantly receive $25 or up to $1,000 in free play. That'd be great for me. I lose a lot of money in free play all the time, so I could use the 1,000. For your first visit, that's $25 to $1,000 in free play. Your first visit at Rosie's Rewards. Learn more about this promotion, Rosie Rewards, and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Don't forget, horse racing starts July 31st at Colonial Downs in New Kent, Virginia. My father, John Fredericks, the Godzilla of Truth, with the most famous promo in the history of the universe, Godzilla. He will be at the racetrack in July when they open. He's going to do a show there for like 3 weeks. I think he's just moving in. They're empty nesters now. So he's very locked in to that in July. The guy loves horse racing. So check out Rosie's. Use the promo code when you check it out. Okay. We're going to end the show here with our big wild card, our guy who could make us rich if he can just put it all together. This is our 3-wood. So in your bag, Nate, you've got your 3-wood. You take it out. You hit a beautiful shot. You reach the green. You putt for birdie. Who's your wild card this week?
Ryan Gerard.
Ryan Gerard. Can you spell that for us?
Gerard.
All right, Ryan Gerard. What do you like about Ryan Gerard?
He's just playing good, man. I mean, so I was really impressed when I watched like a lot of the Honda coverage, like more than like I probably needed to, and really more than I probably should have. And I kept thinking Ryan Gerard's going to fold. And then he just didn't. He just played awesome. He finished solo 4th of the Honda, and then he gets, an exemption in the next week. He gets a T11th in Puerto Rico. This is basically, if he makes the cut here, finishes tied for 54th or better at this week, then he'll get the special temporary exemption that like Akshay just got. So this is a huge tournament for him to try and string together some results. And the game just looks good. I mean, there's basically like no like strokes gain data that like we can glean that's relevant, except that like iron play was the strength of his game at the Honda. So I'm willing to just sort of go back to the well there at, 125, 150 to 1, wherever you sort of bet it, between 100 and 150 to 1. I can think of worse things than a couple of bucks on Ryan Gerard, who's really all he's done is just put up solid finishes lately.
Plus 360 to make the top 20, which is not bad for
I like
20.
that. Yeah.
Yep, me too. I don't usually love betting top 20 finishes because you have to find long shots even for that. Otherwise, you have to, it's minus 140 or it's plus 150, which is just, unless you're throwing $100 on it, I don't really see the point in those. We don't do a lot of props here because it's just difficult to find a number that makes sense. But plus 360, I'd take that for top 20, probably kind of around there for top 40. So Ryan Gerard, all right. I tried to look him up on the PGA Tour website, but it's not recognizing his name. So
he's not a member yet.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah. So but he'll get there. Like you said, get that special exemption, just like Akshay, and he should be fine. I've got one for you that I love. This guy, I mean, if there's one I'm handing out here that you need to take right now, it is Russell Knox at 200 to 1. Plus 2,000. Russell Knox here. Listen, Russell Knox, we're talking approach. Russell Knox, 13th in strokes gained approach on tour this year. Might be a little thin. We might have to go through some of his stats, but he's played a lot. So that stat probably sticks. So approach game good. Tee to green, 76.254. Off the tee, not so great. Minus 0.532. That's 192nd off the tee. So Russell Knox is really not killing it with the driver. Putting, not.
Don't look at the putting.
Either. Yeah. Putting's not great
gonna
either.
make you happy.
And look, he's 200 to 1. Like he's not going to be good at everything, or he'd be a shorter price.
He'd be 30 to 1 like everyone else.
Yeah, but again, like we said, putting doesn't matter as much this week. Now you can't lose strokes on the green, but maybe just like Luke Lish, you get to 0. You never know. The biggest problem with Russell is he hasn't made a cut in a while. So he missed the cut at the Players.
Not since the AT&T at Pebble Beach.
Yeah,
he made a
Pebble
cut.
Beach, right? Players,
And that was
Honda,
the tie for
Genesis,
41st.
Waste Management. Yeah, but he made the cut. I mean, wasn't top 20, but it was almost top 40. American Express tied for 54th. Sony tied for 67th. But here's why I like it, other than the approach. Russell loves this course. He likes Valspar. He plays here all the time. A lot of guys don't. Russell plays a lot of tournaments. He has to keep his card.
Yeah, because he's missing cuts all the time.
Yeah. So he's not tired by the time we get to Tuesday because he's well rested. So he could really fly out early to the next tournament, get some practice rounds in while everybody else is still playing the tournament on Sunday. But tied for 57th in 2022 at the Valspar at Copperhead, tied for 24th in 2019, tied for 16th in 2018, missed the cut in 2017, tied for 56th in 2016, tied for 33rd in 2015, tied for 25th in 2014. So he's missed one cut here since 2014. He didn't play in 2021 and there was no tournament in 2020. That's pretty good for a guy who's missing a lot of cuts at 200 to 1. You're just looking for some guys with a little bit of success there. So that's kind of my long shot. I'm excited to see. I think he's going to make the cut, and I don't know what his numbers are to make the cut. They're probably pretty low as far as the odds go. I'll try to find the top 20 for you and tell you, but this is my big one. And I had, plus 550 to finish in the top 20. I might take that. You never know. I had some guys last week. I think my long shot last week was in it. Aaron Rye, I think was my.
Oh yeah, Aaron Rye.
Week.
Yeah, you were preaching up Aaron Rye.
I was, and I think he finished in the top 20. He was sneaking around the leaderboard a little bit and then kind of fell apart at the end. So there's one of my long shots there. So Russell Knox for me, and for you, it was
Ryan Gerard.
Ryan Gerard. So real quick, Nate, before we go, just run down your card here, the guys you are betting that you just went through, and then I'll do mine, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I like towards the top of the card, we had Justin Sue and Davis Riley. They're both in the 30 to 40 to 1 range. The mid-tier guy, that I like, Brandon Wu, and then for long shots, we got Ryan Gerard and Akshay Bhatia.
Absolutely.
At triple digits.
Yeah, I like Spieth as kind of the front runner, plus 1,200. I like Fleetwood as mid-range guy, plus 2,200. Nick Taylor, mid-range guy, plus 6,000. So that's 60 to 1. Wyndham Clark, I like Wyndham at 35 to 1. Luke List at 80 to 1, and Russell Knox at 200 to 1. Those are our guys there. This should be a fun tournament. I love these tournaments where not everybody plays because, one, you don't have to watch Scotty shoot 25 under, and two, you just get, for golf fans, you get to see some guys. The coverage is focused on guys who you don't always get to see unless you're watching ESPN Plus on Thursday and watching the different groupings. So that's always fun because you get to see these guys a lot. So we'll see. Should be a fun tournament, and we'll see. Maybe we'll get some winners.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch some of these young guys.
Hopefully, Nate, you recover from your Costa Rica extravaganza there.
Need another day or two.
I hope so, because you've been yawning throughout the show. So if you're yawning, I can't imagine what our listeners are doing. Hopefully they're not yawning. So we'll see. But listen, guys, thanks everyone for listening to this week's episode of Clubhouse Picks, brought to you by Godzilla Wins. You can download and listen to Clubhouse Picks on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please be sure to download, rate, and review if you like the show. That really helps us. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and drop a comment with your picks for the Valspar. We will see you next week for some match play. Happy golfing.